Hey guys, welcome back to the SlipCast. I'm your host, Anthony. Today I have a very special guest, a returning guest, Dylan.
How's it going?
So, it's been a minute since we've gotten together and decided to do one of these. Um, Both of us had a lot of shit going on in our personal lives.
Yep.
A lot. Um, but we're back and we're hoping to do this a lot more regularly and keep in the flow of
Absolutely.
things. Yeah. So, one of the things that we were just talking about was the new consoles and how we're looking back at the past 7 years that we've had the previous consoles out, or the current consoles, PS4 and Xbox One. And I know that we're both PS4 guys because Xbox sucks.
Admittedly.
Yeah, admittedly. um
Sorry, not sorry for that.
but we were going to get into like the highlights, right? So
Why
what
not?
was go why don't you start?
No, I was just gonna say, like, what actually got you onto PlayStation? Or like how did you come into that? Because like me, I was an Xbox head for a while, and I had the like original like first Xbox, and then I had the Xbox 360, and then the first game that's on my library of PlayStation 4 games is Last of Us Remastered. So then I switched to PS4, and then that got me onto that. So my first biggest highlight is easily Last of Us. That's what got me to Switch. So,
So for me, PlayStation has been something that I've always been a member of, family wise, because growing up, my father had a PS1 from before I was even born. They had a PS1, and
hmm,
then he got the PS2 when it came out, and so we had the PS2 for like a crap ton of years, until about '06, I think '07, when the PlayStation 3 came out, and then right when it came out, he went and got one. So he got one of those big ass bulky ones with like only 4 gigs of storage and shit. And I thought it was the coolest shit. Some of the games looked great on that PS3, and
oh
so
yeah.
I got his PS2, and I
Hmm.
played PlayStation 2 for the longest time. I had Nintendos, like the DSs, and I had a Game Boy, and then we had the Wii, 3DS, DSi, things like that. So I was going with like
Right.
the cheaper ones that I had, Pokemon on and shit. And then one year for Christmas, I asked for the PS3, and it was the year before. No, it was the exact year that PS5 or PS4 was coming out. So 2013.
Hmm.
In 2013, I got a PS3, and I got The Last of Us with it. And I didn't even imagine that I would play The Last of Us the amount of time that I did. I got the
Hmm.
PS3 to play, Call of Duty and fucking GTA and shit. And
Yep.
so then,
Which is probably coming out in its third iteration now.
yeah, yeah, that's great, perfect. Next year, I'm gonna be getting it. Most likely, if I get the PS5, I'm gonna be getting it.
Why
GTA.
not? It's honestly,
If they
that's
do
my
something sporadic with the game, and I no longer can get the updates on PS4 or on, it's not gonna have it on PC. But if I can't get the updates anymore on PlayStation, I'm gonna have to move to PS5.
yeah.
But um, yeah, The Last of Us had to be one of the biggest things for me when came to PS3, because I got it with the console. It came in the box with the console and this little
Hmm.
sleeve, and I think really was what changed the idea of that game around for me was the scene in the hotel when you're in the basement.
Hmm.
And that scared the shit out of me when it happened. The big bloaters are coming for you, and I didn't fucking expect it. As soon as you turn on the generator, this is what's gonna happen, and it scared the shit out of me. And I finally got the key card, and I went through the door. Then as soon as I went through the door, it saved, and I turned the game off, and I didn't play for like a week. I was like, "Fuck this, dude! I'm not playing this game again." That scared the shit out of me. But I ended up getting over it, and I was like, you know what? I've never played a scary game I've never like actually enjoyed a game's story up until that point. And it's Naughty
Hmm.
Dog. And I already enjoyed Naughty Dog shit from Uncharted. And I played Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. And I was like, fuck it, let's give it a go. So then I went and picked it back up. And yeah, sure enough, I beat the game. And then I beat the game again. And then I beat the game again. And then I beat the game again. And then PlayStation 4 came out. I didn't play it on there because I got burnout from playing it so much. But then I got it for PS4 so I could see the remastered version. And it looked a lot better graphics wise.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's where I kind of got my start in to being dedicated to this specific console, because even though I had a PS3, I would have been open to having an Xbox 360, and now I would never have an Xbox.
Oh no.
Never.
It's
Especially after the launch of the one.
Here's my biggest thing is that like people talk about how like oh the graphics are better on Xbox and all this stuff, and it's like and that again it comes down to the optimization and how it actually is tailored to run. It's not just the hardware that you put into it. It's like how is everything working together.
Right.
So my biggest like point of frustration is when people talk about that and then neglect to talk about the actual content that either of the companies are putting out, because that's kind of the point of buying a console. So you're playing it for the games. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing it because these companies are offering titles that generally and mostly specific to PlayStation because they have a crap ton of exclusives that are all generally excellent. Um, you're playing something that is tailored for that console that you generally can't get anywhere else. That's like kind of the point. So then to say I'm not going to buy a console for the games, to me is just kind of a blasphemous idea. Like it just I don't get it. But
Yeah, I and see what you're going on based off of there is a lot of just single player titles. You're not thinking about multiplayer.
I'm
Um,
not, because that's not the kind of gamer I am.
Right, but that's like you. I've always taken into consideration the fact that Xbox is known more for being online with your friends and playing with your friends and shit, and the
Yeah.
game chat from, especially from Xbox 360, you had private game chats so you can just sit in with your friends and fuck around, and then you had Skype because Microsoft owns Skype. They implemented that too, so I understand the appeal of Xbox. I don't understand the appeal of like the controller. I've gotten into arguments with people about those fucking things. Like they feel so fucking cheap
Mm.
when you hold them. The plastic feels cheap, and it just feels like if I drop it, the first drop is just gonna destroy the controller. And I
Right.
hate that. I hate the feel of the cheap buttons. Like the bumpers and the triggers feel like shit. Um,
Yeah.
I the only reason why I discussed that is because I played Xbox recently. A friend of mine has an Xbox, or an old friend of mine has an Xbox, and we would play on his Xbox, and we played Call of Duty, and I
Mm.
fucking hated it. I really did. I hated playing Xbox Call of Duty because I just did not feel in the zone. Like the controller just did not feel good, and
Mm.
we play these consoles in hope of finding something that we're gonna actually like be interested in. And I realize that a lot of the Xbox exclusive titles are something that I don't really give a shit about.
Yeah.
Halo and Gears of War and stuff like that. It's not appealing. I haven't played God of War, but I respect the fact that it's only on PlayStation. I didn't play
It's
Spider
very
Man,
good.
but I respect the fact that it's on PlayStation. And
Yeah.
those are single player games. You immerse yourself in a story, and you are the character that the story is supposed to be about. But when you play Halo, yeah, you play the single player, but then you go online and you're not Master Chief anymore. You're
Joe Schmo,
Joe
basically.
Schmo 12129. Yeah, you're just
Yeah,
like some random Joe, and who gives a shit? Then it's like I play PlayStation and I play online with people sometimes, and it's like, yeah, I do know your gamer tags, but we're playing a game that you can play on any fucking console, especially games like GTA,
right.
which in itself is a really fucking stupid game, and I'm very, very upset with the way that it's going right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get into that rant because I'm
We're
getting
we're here
angry.
to celebrate the
The
previous
consoles,
generation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but what was your like? I know your favorite game on PS4. I know what it is.
Yeah.
Um, but can you guess what my favorite game on the PS4 is?
Are you including Last of Us as PS4? Or are you
No, we'll include Last of Us
having
as
that?
PS4. I'm not talking about just PS4 exclusives either. It can be any game on the console.
I mean, I would have said Last of Us, but I honestly don't know. I mean, to me, when GTA 5 was at its peak, that game unbeatable as far like it's like the highest selling. I don't know. I don't want to say property, but maybe like
No, it's
one,
not. That's
or is
Pokemon.
it highest selling game? It,
It made the most profit out of any game of all time. Any singular game. It's the best selling single video game of all time.
I mean, to me, it's if it's not one of those two, I feel dumb. But to me, when those were at like when GTA 5 was at its peak, and it was like and online was coming into its prime, and the story is excellent, by the way. Don't let people distract you from the story. The story is really good, when you actually do play it. But it's
Hmm.
like those two games to me just kind of, well, okay, there's other games that I could get into later, but to me those two games are like defining crown achievements of PS3 to PS4. So what is yours? Because I think it's one of those two, but I don't know.
See, and that's what's funny is that it's neither one of those two.
And I
Actually
figured,
it's my favorite video game series
wait,
on main console of all time.
is it is it is it Fallout 4?
It is Fallout 4.
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot about it. But I was like, is it Fallout 4? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's Fallout 4. It's I got to say that Fallout 4 it was really shit. It was a really shitty game and it was it had no replayability value to it. You play it once, okay, yeah, cool. Then you do it twice, okay, yeah, cool. You chose a different ending, but then, you can choose different endings and shit. But the game is super linear. Like you get the quest, and it's like go fetch this or go talk to this person, and you go talk to that person, and it's the exact same quest. It's like who the fuck came up with these quests? You played Fallout 3, which I have here on my desktop. You play Fallout 3, and the fucking quests were so just weird and funny and cool and action packed, and even the DLC was actually intriguing. I played the
Mm.
DLC of Fallout 4, and it was garbage. Except for the Harbor DLC, it was like Nuka World was shit. I hated Nuka World. I ruined my game because of Nuka World. Because you can get raiders to be like you can team with the raiders, and if you team with the raiders, the people that you have as settlers will no longer work with you, and they will view you as a traitor,
Mm.
and they will try and kill you. And so you go back to your homestead. And nope, they don't want you there. They won't. They'll talk to you, sure, they'll talk to you, but they will not be your companion anymore. Even I think even dog meat won't be
Wow.
your friend.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's very stupid, but I mean, the point I'm trying to make is I played I got to say like 500 hours of that game
Mm.
easily. And I would play it from morning till dusk and just do it every single day, and sometimes I'd play it up into the middle of the night. And sometimes I wouldn't. I had so much shit in Fallout 3 that I really just didn't even need to play anymore. It was just to go kill and find new locations and explore. And
Mm.
on the reason I bring that up instead of having like GTA or The Last of Us is because although I've played a lot more GTA, a lot of what GTA had to offer was not in the story mode, and it wasn't about playing the game as the individual who you were gonna be the entire time. You
Right.
know, it was cool that you had Trevor and it was cool that you had Franklin, but being Michael and being Franklin and being Trevor, you couldn't do those online. You
No.
made your own character, and although it was cool to have your own character and everything, it wasn't. They weren't in the story, and that would have been even cooler as if you actually made your story character in GTA.
It also takes place prior to the actual story,
Right.
at least. So like it precedes everything. So it's completely disconnected inherently.
But now they ruined it canonically because they put the casino in.
Oh.
And the casino, when you go to it in story mode, is not the same. It doesn't look the same. It's the previous casino that was there.
Mm.
And it's a little annoying. It's like, come on, dude. Just add it to the fucking main game. What difference does that make? You didn't make any DLC for it. So why not just put a little
That's
bit in there?
so obnoxious. Oh my God. It just don't like none of the cars that or any of most of the content that they add to online, they don't put it in the main game. So you can't like let's say if somebody wanted to like test out the car in story mode because they don't really have that kind of money in online maybe. You can't do that.
Right. The only way you'd be able to do that is if you had PC and you modded it.
Right. Which it just that was always really annoying because I'm like, you end the game with like $33 million in the ballpark of 33 to 35 because some people end up with more money than others. Or at least no, they because then they end up with more money than others because Michael inherently kind of has more because he's like rich early on, and then that's just added in, assuming that you don't spend a ton. But I just don't understand why they don't add the online content to the main story because that would help out a lot.
He ends up with more because they do the jewel heist and he gets the most money out of it. He
Yeah.
gets almost $1 million or something out of it, and Franklin only gets like 300,000. But then you transfer to Trevor and he's only got 100,000.
And what was
And
and then there was that one heist where he got zero. He did take zero on one of the heists, Michael.
Michael, that's because they all did.
Yes.
The one where Trevor tried to steal he was stealing like the nuke shit.
That's not the one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
There's where they were working with like the FIB on a couple of them, and one of them he took zero, I believe. It was either the one that there was one where they abducted the guy, and then there was one where they like robbed that bank out in Paleto Bay, like, or
oh
did,
no, I think
and
they
got
made
on the
money off of
train.
that. I think they made money off of that.
I'll just have to fact check that and see
Yeah, no,
what.
because the reason why they did it was because they needed the money for the chopper for the mission. So maybe they didn't get paid for it.
No, I'm saying he like there was a mission where Michael just said, "I'm taking nothing on this. I've been a jerk lately."
Oh, no, well, I don't
Yeah,
remember. Well, that
I
shows
just
you how
happened
long
to
ago it
remember
was.
that.
It was so long
Yeah,
ago. I haven't played GTA.
It was the FIB heist. Michael took zero, and Franklin got a cut. It was the FIB heist where they went in from the skylight, and you had to hack into the computer system, and then depending on what kind of driver you got, you would either have an ambulance out front
Right, right, where you
that could
raided the
avoid.
FIB building.
That's the one where he took zero.
Yeah, gotcha. When they raided the FIB building.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, all in all, they you could end up with like 122 million with those characters.
Yeah, if you invest it.
I did it because I wanted to see how well it worked, and you really do make that much money. But for you to make that much money and then you basically don't make anything else unless you continue to do the stock trading, there's a business, the golf course, where you don't even you can't even own it. It's like 150 million in
I
order for you
never
to own
made
it.
enough to buy that.
I know, because it's ridiculous. Like you can't if you could trade money or send money to people like if Franklin was able to send Michael money and Michael was then able to buy the property, like that'd be cool. But how the fuck are you supposed to make another $30 million? You just made $30 million off of the biggest bank heist that they've ever done in the game.
Also, there was I remember when I was like fresh off of like finishing the game within the first, you know, couple like days I watched that like this like IGN tutorial on like how to make that much money in order to buy it, and I followed it like to a T, and I ended up with like maybe 10 million more dollars. And I was like, screw this. Like I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to be done. Like
Yeah.
I wanted enough to do it, and it's like I can't get it, so then I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, oh man. Man, it's only like one. I'm already
Yeah,
exhausted. Um, yeah, but yeah, I mean,
but
GTA
GTA,
itself has been a ride, and they're gonna
I
continue
love
to
that
let
game.
they're making you well they're gonna continue to let you ride it because they're making a fuck ton of money off of it. People buy shark
They're not
cards and
making
shit.
six, or they haven't said anything about it, so I don't know what they're doing. But
Well, it's in development. It's just not. They're probably going nice
it's
and
not
slow with it.
on the forefront.
And because Leslie Benzies is no longer with the company, I'm sure that they're going a lot slower, considering he's worked on like pretty much every one of them
Mm.
as like the director, and now they gotta get a new director and shit, and it's like, hmm. But one thing I do want to talk about is The Last of Us 2 here.
Mm.
Because we were talking about The Last of Us, we're talking about exclusive titles. This is the one thing that I really did not like from this console generation, and that was The Last of Us 2.
Mm.
And I didn't play it, but I watched people play it. And I actually hated the way that they took everything. It was very lackluster, I guess is the greatest word for it. It was like, you get super hyped. You've been waiting. Oh, okay, get off my screen. You waited like years. We're talking like 7 years for this shit to come out,
All right.
and it didn't come out. Why didn't it come out for 7 years? And then what we got 7 years later was this. I was so just disappointed with the way that everything went. And, the combat system got remapped, and the crafting system got remapped, and they added a couple new mobs and shit like that. Like, they did a lot to give to the experience, and the detail of the characters were great.
Right.
But it was very... And if you haven't played the game, I'm sorry, spoiler alert ahead.
We literally cannot talk about it without spoiling it. So.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just giving a little, just a warning, just in case people are like gonna be pissed and be like, "Come on, dude, what the fuck? It's been out for like almost a year, but we still haven't played it. Fuck you, man." The way I see it is, they fucked up with killing Joel, and the way that they did it. They made him a fucking dog at the end of his life, like an actual dog. And now that wouldn't be a huge problem if it wasn't for the fact that he wasn't a dog in the last game. The motherfucker survived falling from the second story of the university and just fucking like got a whole ass pole stuck in him. Made
So
it out of
there's
there.
rusty
Yeah. He made it through
piece
the
of
whole winter.
metal that was actually threaded, by the way.
Yeah, no, it would have killed anybody. He should have been
Yeah.
paralyzed.
Sure.
And he made it out. He made it through the winter even. And then all they did was have this, and this is not PC, but this dyke bitch whoop his ass with a fucking, what was it? It was like a pole or something. She just beat the shit out of him.
Just a golf club.
A golf club. All because he killed her dad at a hospital in the previous game. And then the fact that they let each other go at the end of it, I was so angry at that. I was like, you can't even give anybody the conclusion that this bitch is dead. You didn't give anybody that closure to the story. You left it wide open, and although that's cool and all, it's probably going to be another 7 years before we get to see what the fuck happens next in your story. You know, and that's horrendous. But your favorite game on the console
is Uncharted 4.
5. Uncharted 4. I just said Uncharted 5 even though because I
It's
keep
cool.
saying
Technically, people will argue that there's an Uncharted 5 with lots of legacy, and that's not. That's more like Uncharted 4.5, because it's basically an extended DLC.
Uncharted 4, and I said Uncharted 5 because I keep saying PlayStation 5 over PlayStation 4, and so now 4s or 5s in my mind, and so I said Uncharted 5. But I knew it was Uncharted 4. But anyways, continue, sir.
It's okay. So, just for context, I'd say that Uncharted is probably this is going to be pretty ambitious. My favorite PlayStation exclusive series of all time. Like, granted that I've only had it for. I also went back and bought a PS2.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and bought a PS2 because that has a ton of games like the original licensed Spider-Man 2 game, which I will not get into because it's that fantastic.
What would you
But
say
it's
it's
I'd say
amazing?
it's amazing. I'd say it's the ultimate Spider-Man experience aside from the current Spider-Man game that's out. But we'll just they had to. Anyways, I went back and bought the PS2, got Battlefront 2, etc., all those games that got me back on the PlayStation train. And then when I got my PS4, I had Last of Us Remastered and a couple other games. I wasn't sure exactly what to get. I didn't know exactly where I was gonna kind of play, and I saw this game series. It ended up being Uncharted, but it was like this Indiana Jones adjacent series that I didn't really know if I wanted to get into. And I was like, this is just this game that I'm just never gonna buy, and it's always gonna be sitting in the PlayStation Store. And 4 had come out relatively recently within the past year. I was like, all right, I'll play this. And I was blown away by the game. It was just fantastic, which didn't have context for anything, granted. I generally don't recommend playing last games before you play the first games, but if that's the way that you get into a series, it doesn't really matter to me. As long as just I went back and then played the first 3 because the Nathan Drake collection is also in the PlayStation Store, and I think it's like $20 because it's in the PlayStation collection where it's like $20 or less for these top tier PlayStation games.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the Nathan Drake collection, went back and played the first 3, then played 4 again, and then that started the cycle of me playing 4 over and over and over. I'm on my 7th playthrough right now
You're
of
playing through it again?
yeah of Uncharted 4,
My
unless I
lord.
yeah, or maybe it's my 8th because I just beat the 7th recently. Honestly, I can't remember. Yeah, it's my this this would be if I started again. This would be my 8th playthrough of Uncharted 4, which is a lot,
Yeah.
obviously. But I think to me, what sort of defines the game is this like I'm a movie person and a story person foremost because that's what I am what I gravitate towards with
Mm-hmm.
games. I'm not a big multiplayer person generally. I don't this I had to be basically dragged to play GTA 5 online. Um, and then I eventually got into it and really loved it. But I would say that for the most part, I'm not a big online person. And 4 to me is the perfect conclusion to a gaming series. Like it has all the callbacks, it has all the amazing set pieces that you expect from Uncharted. The gaming is fluid, the landscape is beautiful. Like I just the music is incredible. Like the whole game to me is like 10 out of 10, like perfection. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing better to me than sitting down and playing through that game. Like because I know exactly what's going to happen. Doesn't matter though. I like people are like, well, how can you like do things over and over again? And it's like, how can you watch movies over and over again? It's like because it's nostalgia, it's familiarity, it's comfort, it's excellence. That's what I think comes from Uncharted 4 for me. If you've never played Uncharted series, one is good, two is excellent, three is like really good, and then four is like to me it's better than all three. But that's again personal because some people like two more than four. So it
Yeah.
really
I
just
mean,
depends.
you.
I also started with four, so that gives me a heavy bias.
I mean, the thing is that they ended it off on a really good note, and it should just be untouched for the rest of its existence as a
Toy
franchise.
Story. Anyways,
Yeah, no, that's a great example here. Just going the extra mile to just rub your franchise into the ground because you know it'll make money. Money. But it's God, dude, don't even get me started on Toy Story.
they should have stopped at three.
They
I'm
should have
sorry.
stopped it. They should have stopped at two. Three wasn't even that good. I mean, like, yeah, it gave us closure, but then why the fuck would you give us closure and then reopen the case? It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You gave us, and it's not even like I should care because it really is a child's franchise, but the parents are the ones that grew up with it. The parents of this generation grew up with Toy Story. Why the fuck would they want to watch Toy Story 4? Fucking Woody gets lost in Manhattan. I just pulled Manhattan out of my ass, and he meets this fucking spoon, or Sporky, whatever the fuck his name is. What are you doing? What
I
is this? You had Lotso in the last movie, and that was pretty cool. I guess I liked Lotso, and Barbie met Ken, and Ken was voiced by a wonderful gentleman, and
named Michael Keaton.
named Michael Keaton, and they just
Batman.
they just shit they just shit all over the rest of the franchise with this new fucking movie.
I just think that I have not seen four. I don't ever plan on seeing four, no offense. But I just I think that it's like if they were to make a sequel to Dark Knight Rises. It's like, could you do it? Sure. Is it necessary? No. So then
Okay,
just
but listen,
it's like
it's not
it's
necessary. But
that's what I'm saying.
Dylan,
It's
you and I both
unnecessary.
know, that if Chris Nolan decided to go and make a new Dark Knight, we would be opening night watching it.
Oh,
Fucking
absolutely.
best seats in the house at the Regal Cantera. We would just be there. Because,
IMAX, the whole
we,
thing.
we,
Or RPX, but
RPX, yeah, because that's what they call it. But it would be, of course we would watch it. Of course we would go see it. We'd go see every fucking superhero movie that we're going to like on opening night.
yes.
It's just, what should they do it? No, but if they did, hell yeah, I'd be hyped for it. But with
Yes.
Toy Story, it's a fucking Toy Story. You know, you
Yeah,
gave us actual closure. Like, you didn't give us closure with The Dark Knight Rises because now we know that Bruce Wayne's still alive. You know, he's still there. What if you brought it back and now Robin is is Batman? You know, like that.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Exactly. What if he played Batman? Now, I'm not saying I want to see it. You know, I don't want to see it because, quite frankly, I don't know if I'd enjoy it. I'd probably be a little biased about it, but I wouldn't mind seeing it.
Yeah.
Toy Story, Andy's gone, and now you got this little shithead, whatever the fuck her name is. I'm gonna call her Shathid because it's shithead, but just said the way it's spelt. So Shathid over here fucking gets the toys now. Why do we need to see Shathid's adventure with the toys? They're fucking 40 years old, dude. Like these toys. 92. 92, right? That's when the movie came out, or was it 96? It was in the 90s. Regardless of when it came out, it was in the 90s.
The
These
original Toy Story was in 95.
95. Look at that. See, 95. So they're 25 years fucking old. They're older than Shathid's parents, and she's playing with them. I don't
I
want to see that. I don't need to see that. It was unnecessary. It's a cash grab. You know, no one wanted to see Olaf again. No one wanted to. Okay, I'm gonna say this, and I know you're not gonna like it very much, but no one wanted to see the Incredibles come back in that fashion.
there's a lot of things that you're kind of saying right now that I'm gonna like try and like touch on, but
Okay, so Frozen 2. I get why it came out,
yeah, I don't care about Frozen, so go ahead.
but and the Incredibles, man, come on, dude. I got so baked and went to the fucking movie, and I already knew what was gonna happen. I already knew what was gonna happen before it happened, and it's because it's just a very predictable movie. You know, you didn't expect an Incredibles one that Buddy would be fucking Syndrome. It was just not. You would never have seen it coming. But the fact that what's her name is the bad guy, and everybody's thinking it's her brother. No, he's a huge fucking superhero nerd. The one person who doesn't really give a shit about him, which is his sister. Of course, it'd be her. You know, and it's a great continuation of the story. In a way, you know, it brings the supers back, but it's fucking stupid because now Syndrome has gotten his want. He wanted there to be heroes again because when everybody's super, no one will be.
Yeah, I think that the villain in Incredibles 2 is, and I mean this pun intended, incredibly boring.
Yeah.
I think that the rest of the movie, though, is really, really good.
Right.
Now,
Go ahead.
that's just because the villain to me is okay. If we're going to talk about villains, Incredibles 1, top tier villain material to me. Like, it's Syndrome is excellent, and 2, it's just like it's just not to me. It's like why even have the villain there? It like kind of like the first one is like about him trying to make superhero technology like mass produced to then basically erase the need for there to even be supers in the first place.
Right, even though they're pretty much already all extinct and there's no reason for there to be
Because he
superheroes because they're
murdered
fucking.
most of them.
Right. And there's no reason to be any more superheroes because, they're banned.
Yeah.
Now they
And then they're
raised.
forced into hiding.
Right, so then they lifted the ban in part 2. And, you know, I mean, that's cool and all, but why can't it be where there's actually like danger and no one knows what the fuck to do, and then, you know, boom, superheroes, they're back for this, and then they have to try and get away from the police and shit because they're banned. You know, that'd be cool. Instead of the police being like, "Oh, hey, look, it's Elastigirl. Hey, oh, wait, shit, man, she's got a fat ass. She's thick." You know,
I,
like they just, it's just fucking pointless. There was no reason for it. No reason
I
for it.
I feel like the whole reason why I really like Incredibles 2 is obviously like I like to see the Incredibles in action and I like to see the supers and doing everything. I think it's I think it's more about like the narrative undertones of like just about
Girl
Mr.
power.
Incredible, like Mr. Incredible being at home and being like a dad and everything. It's like outside. It's like more of things like that, and it's it's like
Right, but I didn't watch Incredibles 1 because I wanted to see him be a fucking insurance advisor.
well. Hold
You
on.
know, that's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see him busting through walls. I didn't want to see him teaching his son math. You know, I didn't
Well,
want to see
it's
him taking his kids to dinner. I wanted to see action-packed adventure, and I don't get that with Elastigirl because she's a fucking spy. And it became more of a spy movie than an action movie in all aspects of what an action movie should have been. It's a fucking superhero movie. It's an animated superhero movie. You left off with the Underminer, and then you undermined his character the entire time because he got away, and no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. They don't even look for him. They don't even try and look for him. Like, what was the point of doing that? You wanted to make way for Elastigirl to be the main superhero in this, in which I respect, but bring Mr. Incredible in a little bit. My God, he doesn't come in until like the end, the bitter end, and it was lackluster. I mean, of course, I know your opinion on that is different than mine, but my opinion will stand there. I did not like watching that movie. I felt like it was a waste of my time and a waste of my high. I'll tell you, I was so like just frustrated with the fact that I wasted 2 hours watching this shit stoned.
yeah. I think there's a few things that I really love about that movie. I mean, I love the whole thing, but that's outside of again. I don't like the villain because the villain is dry. And one of my biggest problems with a lot of movies is that they have dry villains, at least in areas. And like I don't like it when I can fucking tell who the villain's gonna be, and then you make that villain extremely boring and have really shit motivations for being a villain.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest problem with the second movie. I think outside of that, again, like I really love the rest of it, but I just can't stand it when you have movies like The Dark Knight and you say that like this is the example of what a villain should be. Like you want to know what it is, you want to know how to do it, that's it. And then any other movie after that has been influenced by that movie
Mm-hmm.
because of how to center a movie around a villain and how to craft a story in order to make this villain as top tier as they can be. And then you
Right.
fucking make a movie like that and make your villain fucking dry as shit. I just can't stand it because people
See,
don't understand how important it is to have a good villain.
like that's the thing is that superhero movies have definitely drawn away from the problem. They've gone from being about the hero versus the villain and doing it in a very crafty and creative way and being more about, the end game. And no pun intended. And
Because that movie's excellent.
yeah,
So
no,
it's
well,
just
that
not.
movie's a great movie. They did a great job with Thanos in that one too. But I didn't like Infinity War nearly as much as I thought I would. I can rewatch Endgame, but I can't rewatch Infinity War because I'm like, okay, well, this, was cool at the time, and a lot of the effects are really great. It's not a great movie when you compare it to something like Endgame, because Endgame really brought you to that's it. That's it. What do you do now? And not an aspect of like the movie series, but as them as characters. What do you do now? Like they must be thinking, what the fuck do we do now? Our problem's gone, but that problem doesn't mean it's gone forever. Doesn't mean that there's not going to be any more new problems. When you watched Dark Knight, that was the end of the problem, but the the recoil or the aftermath of having the Joker there, it moved into the Dark Knight Rises, and Batman was
Yeah.
gone, and no one believed in him, and then Bane broke his back, and he had to get out of the prison and make it back to Gotham without being detected and without all these things. Like it's just such a crazy movie, but it was such a great series because all in all, you had a really like worthless villain in the first one. I thought Scarecrow was just whatever. Ra's al Ghul was a great villain, and you didn't see it coming unless you knew the story behind Ra's al Ghul. And then you move on to the next one, and the Joker was just he fucking stole the show. When you have a villain that just takes the spotlight from the actual hero, that's how you fucking do it. That villain should be your main character. It should always be the main character up until the end. And that's what he was. That's what Heath Ledger did. He was the villain up until the end. And even though we had Two-Face, and he was really the last villain, the Joker created him. And he didn't create him by throwing him in a vat of poison or any of that. He broke him psychologically just to create more chaos. And we've talked plenty about the Dark Knight. We talked about him in our last video, in our last time we were together talking about this shit. But Bane, he wasn't even the villain the whole time. And had you not know that what's her name? Natalia was gonna be the villain. Like, had you not known that she was Ra's al Ghul's daughter?
Yeah, you
It
Talia al
was
Ghul.
Talia, right? It was just fucking what a very what moment when she fucking stabbed him.
Yeah,
That's how you do a villain. It's not about let me take out the Green Goblin. It's about the journey that gets you there. It's about what happens after you get there. And that's why I feel like The Incredibles was just so shit, because it wasn't about the journey getting there. Had you made it very obvious that she was the villain, like if she was just behind the scenes doing really bad shit, okay, maybe I would have liked her a little bit better. But you didn't see it. It was supposed to be
mm,
suspenseful. It was supposed to be like, what? But it really wasn't, because, she's not Talia al Ghul. She's whatever the fuck her name was. And they did her character so dirty, because you could tell immediately she was going to be the bad guy or
mm.
the bad girl. She a bad girl.
I can't stand it when movies don't like put effort into their villains. I think that's just my because there's so many like good examples. Like for one, let's just let's just do this. Um, I just saw something on Instagram of somebody cosplaying as Azula from Avatar. So for one example, Azula, like of someone who's, and again, people will then go and say like Ozai, and it's like I feel like Azula is the much more developed and interesting villain to me.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's like has a lot more nuances to them. Someone who I can really watch and be interested in and seeing a scene with them rather than just I mean Ozai's good. He just like to me he's more of a powerhouse and an actual interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like the horrible father rather than somebody who's like psychologically like breaking down as the seasons go on, like 2 and 3, because she didn't come in until the last episode of season 1. It's like you, my problem is that you have so many good examples of good villains, and then you throw this character in, and Incredibles 2 is this like basically throwaway character. I just don't. I mean, it just blows my mind. Like I don't get it.
I think
And
all in all that you getting to that TLA. Um, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like it's actually almost cringy that no one can come up with a good villain now. Like it's just not possible to come up with an actual villain that reaches that suspense level that, fucking people like Azula did. She was God. Like
she was god tier.
she
That's what I'll say.
was it was so just ridiculous how fucking good. I believe it was Tara Strong. Who played
No,
her?
it was Grey Delisle.
Grey Delisle, you're right. Grey Delisle played her character so well. Just so fucking well. And there was nobody else that would have been able to play that character. She changed drastically, like, design wise from the first season to the last season.
Yeah.
Um she worried about fucking teenager problems towards the end of the last season. When they're on Ember Island.
Ember Island players. That's a good episode too.
I need
But
to.
when they're on
I want
Ember
to
Island and
rewatch
she's
it.
trying to flirt,
Oh
and she's
god,
like,
it was
that
so
outfit is so
good.
sharp it could sink a warship, and he's just like,
Uh,
okay.
thanks.
He's like, and then she like
I'm gonna go
lights
over
her
there.
hands. She like lights her hands, and she's like, "We'll be the most powerful couple ever." And he like has like literally this face of like,
Uh,
blah.
I gotta go.
I gotta go, so I'm just gonna walk away. I'd say there's one villain in particular that recently has been that well developed, or at least close. Um, it's Homelander. That's the only one that I can think of as of recent history that is like that good or close to being that good. Because I feel like Azula is just like that high, but like that's the only one that I can think of that in recent history, holy shit, like is like that. Wow. Which you haven't like, which if you haven't
I've
seen The
only
Boys,
watched up until the fourth episode, and I'm only at the beginning of it. But
if
regardless,
anybody, if you haven't seen The Boys, watch it. It's excellent.
if
Um,
you're over the age of 17,
yeah, if you're legally able to watch it and are mature enough,
if your
like
brain does not have a fucked up mentality, you need to watch that show.
I think it's like just I've I've had a conversation with a few people considering watching it, and my biggest considerations are: can you tolerate gore? Number one, um, and number two, what is your tolerance for um, wild or erratic behavior from your characters in the show? It's like if your tolerance is very high for what you watch, then I would suggest it
Dude,
and
you
say,
have someone is what's it called? Someone is mowing the lawn at your place.
yeah, they are currently mowing the lawn.
Okay, so I think you know what? We'll cut it right there because we're at about 53 minutes. That's good. That's a good place to end right there. Is watch The Boys and get interested in superheroes if you're not. Just
And
pick up
watch
something.
ATLA if you haven't.
Yeah, watch Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's
Don't
number
watch
one to me.
Korra first. Don't watch the Legend of or the Korra Legend first. It's you're gonna actually hate yourself, and we don't want you to hate yourself. But
No, we want you to love yourself and love ATLA. So
but that's been the SlipCast, everybody. My name is Anthony. Thank you for joining us for today. If you guys liked the video, please go ahead and leave it. Leave a like right there, bottom. It's the thumbs up button. It's quick to press. Also subscribe if you want to keep seeing more of this and get it in your feed. And also leave me a comment. Do you want to hear me and this dickhead over here like just shooting the shit again sometime soon? If so, just go ahead and just tell me. But yeah, it's been the SlipCast. Thanks again. Stay beautiful and have a great rest of your day. You want to say bye, Dylan?
Oh, bye. Have a good day.
See you guys.